Happy Pride Month, everybody! Welcome to Beauties and Beasts, a podcast for all things beautiful and beastly. I'm DF, and I am so happy that it's June, where we celebrate people in the LGBTQ plus community. And really, Beauty and the Beast is the perfect story to promote love and tolerance. As I've explained in previous episodes, certain adaptations of Beauty and the Beast, such as the Disney one, have had homosexual subtext. But of course, it's kind of rare that we get a Beauty and the Beast story with a same-sex couple. But today, I want to talk about a certain couple in the long-running BBC TV series Doctor Who, a show about a time-traveling humanoid alien who travels all around the universe at different times. And this show's been going on since 1963, but a little over a decade ago was rebooted by BBC. Really more of a continuation than a complete reboot. And especially in the recent series, we've had quite a bit of LGBTQ representation. From Captain Jack, the immortal who flirts with pretty much everybody, no matter what their gender or species. And also the concept of aliens, where he had the freedom to play with the idea of gender and sex. From pregnant males to genetic clones who don't really understand the concept of male and female. And the Doctor himself, who was recently regenerated into a female. There was a lot of uproar about that, but if you think about it, it was bound to happen at some point. I mean, if the guy can change hair color and eye color and accent, he can definitely change his sex. But of course, what we're specifically talking about today is a fan favorite couple that is not only a lesbian one, but interspecies. And this is a relationship between Madame Vastra, a Silurian lizard woman, and human Jenny Flint. Are you part of the LGBTQ community and want to show your pride this month and, of course, in the future? I have Pride flag merchandise available on Redbubble right now. I have flags from, of course, the rainbow flag to asexual to demisexual, pansexual, polysexual, transgender, and so on. I'm still working on more flags as we speak. I mean, come on, there's so many different sexualities and gender identities. Now there's hundreds and thousands of different combinations. So if you don't see your flag on my Redbubble account under the username DisneyFanatic23, then let me know and I'll get to work on it. Because I'm trying to include as many as possible. You can get your pride flag on a mug, a t-shirt, or a pillow or blanket, or just get a poster or a postcard. There's also Father's Day merchandise available, because Father's Day is coming up pretty soon. And all proceeds from Redbubble sales will go to funding my podcast, including helping me to buy new recording equipment. Recently, my family started making plans to move into a bigger house where there will be space for me to set up a recording studio. And that doesn't come very cheap, so I'm hoping to save enough money for at least a decent recording set. You can also pledge to the podcast by pledging a certain amount of money a month, at least $1. Shout out to my $5 plus patrons, TyrannosaurusVenom and Anime Guy 1101. Patron rewards include early access to new episodes, access to patron-only bonus content, access to live recordings, gifts, and much, much more. Remember, the more patronship I get, the more likely I can do all my creative stuff full-time. Alright, so I will admit I'm not exactly a Whovian, someone who watches Doctor Who religiously, but I do kind of moderately follow the show, but I'm not as much of a diehard fan as, like, my brother is. But I really do admire what they've done with Madame Vastra and Jenny. So, a little backstory on this couple. They currently reside in 19th century London, late 19th century, around 1888. And due to this being a time-traveling series, the timeline of these two characters is not entirely clear. I mean, for all we know, certain episodes might not actually be in the order that the Doctor has interacted with these two. But we do know that Madame Vastra and Jenny are longtime friends of the Doctor, and we hear bits and pieces about their backstory. Starting with Vastra, she is a Silurian, which is an ancient reptilian species that existed on the Earth long before humans. And they've been slumbering under the Earth's crust for thousands of years. And Madame Vastra was accidentally awoken due to the construction of the London Underground. And when she awoke, she initially had no interest in the apes, which is what she calls the humans, until she met and fell in love with Jenny. Still waiting for a flashback to their exact meaning. I mean, it's mentioned briefly that the Doctor had saved Jenny's life when Vastra and Jenny met, but we still don't know the circumstances to which they actually met. Not much is revealed about Jenny's backstory, just that her family shuns her for her choice in partner. Considering it's the 1800s, might have more to do with the fact that her partner is female rather than being a lizard. Madame Vastra works in London as a private investigator, and often assists Scotland Yard in their very hard-to-solve cases. She had actually solved the case of Jack the Ripper, and consequently ate him. Which might be why we've never really found out who Jack the Ripper was, because he was eaten. And it's revealed in the show that she was the inspiration for Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes, just, turned into a male. Jenny is her companion, and Madame Vastra says that they are married, and I imagine the doctor had helped them accomplish this with all his time travel, because, very well in the late 1800s, same-sex marriage was not legal anywhere. At least I don't think so. But in public, she says that Jenny is her maid for appearance's sake. Although, they don't really hide this. As Vastra often just says that Jenny is her wife, probably just to see people's reactions, so not so secret. I mean, there's one point where she just goes, "Hello, I'm a lizard woman from the dawn of time, and this is my wife." Honestly, this is the worst kept secret I've ever seen. Even Vastra doesn't really hesitate to take off her veil to show her lizard skin face. Honestly, are you trying to keep this a secret or not? Because it's not really consistent with your ideals. Now, Jenny, while she kind of does housework, she also does some of her own detective work, from picking locks to going undercover, and more able to do so than Vastra because she's actually human and less recognizable. She is the Watson to Vastra's Holmes, only actually romantically involved and not just shipped by fans. They also live with Strax, a genetic clone warrior from space who acts as their extra muscle / pet / surrogate child. He's a lot of fun, always treating the situation like war, and he can't tell the difference between a male and a female because his clone army only consisted of one gender, so he can't really process the idea of more than one gender. So naturally, he has no problem with Vastra and Jenny being together. And the dynamic between Vastra and Jenny is very engaging. They have very witty and fun banter, Vastra often denouncing humans, probably out of old habit and also kind of just to tease Jenny a bit. And Vastra would clearly lay down her life for Jenny, and vice versa, has been shown numerous times within the show. One time Jenny actually died for a brief moment, and Vastra had demanded Strax bring her back to life with pretty much the alien equivalent of a defibrillator. And Jenny has no problem with Vastra being a lizard, and no problem with her occasionally eating humans. I mean, when she revealed that she'd eaten Jack the Ripper, Jenny didn't bat an eye. So I imagine Vastra only eats criminals for Jenny's sake, and of course would never dream of eating her own wife. So they have a strong relationship with, a few problems and lover spats, kind of how any relationship is, whether you're male and female, both female, or whatever. A relationship is a relationship. Representation of LGBTQ in television is very important, especially today, as it shows to everyone that it's a normal thing. On a side note, recently in the show Arthur, which has been going on for over 20 years now, they had Mr. Ratburn get married to a man, showing the kids that this is a normal thing. And I'm glad they're doing that because I actually did not know that a man could marry a man or a woman could marry a woman until I was about 12. I didn't get this kind of exposure when I was a kid. So you see, if strong lesbian relationships are represented in the media, they will be more accepted. And with this particular couple, it's a lot more interesting when it's also interspecies, showing the difference in their relationship is not just sexual, but it's physical. And while we've yet to meet actual aliens, this symbolizes that couples do not always look the same. It can be a symbol for interracial relationships as well. Also, face it, if we do meet aliens someday that are on a similar level of intelligence as ours and we can communicate with them, we might end up integrating with them. And as a result, these sort of interspecies relationships may become normal. That's what you gotta love about science fiction. They pretty much just predict the future. Because you know what will happen someday. If aliens exist. I believe they exist. I mean, why not? We can't be the only life in the universe. So if you haven't seen Doctor Who, you really gotta check it out. It is an amazing series. And here's hoping that we see more of Madame Vastra and Jenny. I really want to see their reaction to the Doctor becoming a woman. I imagine they might be thrilled. So, I know I didn't really upload this episode early for patrons, and there's a reason for that. You see, I recently got approval to host 2 panels at BronyCon in Baltimore in August, and it's the final BronyCon, and I still have much work to do to prepare for this. I have these videos to edit, and as a result, I will have no time to work on Beauties and Beasts. And so, Beauties and Beasts will be on hiatus until further notice. Depending on if I finish early or not, you may not see new full-length episodes until sometime in August after the convention. I will try to upload some mini-sodes for patrons, so if you are a patron, you just keep an eye out for new content. If you're not a patron, then go click on the Become a Patron button in the right-hand corner of the screen if you're listening on Podbean, or follow the link to the patron page in the description below. There you can see the different patronships, and then pledge so that you can have access to the patron-only bonus content. And feel free to suggest topics for new episodes. Patrons will get first priority. And so, I will see you in a couple of months. Sorry for this long hiatus that's to come. In the meantime, love one another and love your LGBTQ neighbors, especially to my fellow Christians out there. I do not believe it's a sin. I believe that if God created us to love a certain gender or multiple genders, we should just accept it, because everybody is beautiful in their own way. All right, until next time, see you all in August.